make it absolutely nae secret that I dunna like the sprint races, but I was keen to see how this new format that was introduced last weekend at Baku would work out, because as much as I dunna like the sprint races, I'm keen for them to try new things, to try and improve it if we're gonna be stuck with them. But the first impressions are not too good. To be honest, I think the best thing about it is that the sprint no longer sets the grid for the main race. I like that. I like that they changed that. But apart from that, yeah, this format ain't for me. My original complaint of the sprint races still stands. It still more or less just shows a possible spoiler of what could happen come Sunday's race, providing the conditions will be the same. Like last weekend, the sprint basically just confirmed to us, okay, so the Red Bulls are definitely gonna both fly past Leclerc during the main race, and there isn't much he'll be able to do to stop them. And look back to Austria last year. That was, Austria was decent last year, but it did show us that the Ferrari had the pace to take the fight to Red Bull, and it was confirmed that they would take the fight to Red Bull by Leclerc saying at the end of the race, yeah, we're quick, we'll get them tomorrow, and he did. I mean, back to Baku, we kind of knew that the Red Bulls were going to fly past Leclerc anyway, but what we saw in the sprint just confirmed it. The sprints are more or less just the opening stint of the Grand Prix is my point. As I said, I like that the sprint doesn't set the grid for the main race anymore, but the qualifying format they have for the sprint now, it just doesn't work if you ask me. It's the same, basically the same as main race qualifying, but just in shorter sessions, and you can only use one set of tires per session, and it has to be new mediums in the first two and new softs for the third. With it being so similar to main race qualifying, it kind of just means that we're most likely gonna be watching the exact same kind of thing unfold for the grid orders we saw for main race qualifying if conditions are the same, and that's kind of what did happen in Baku. So how can they fix things? Well, personally, I'd get rid of the sprints because, as I said, I don't like them, but that's just my opinion. And I'm gonna be honest, the sprint races, they add more races to the calendar. Having more races, that could cause burnout for everyone. Drivers, the team members, the engineers, the mechanics, even the media, even the fans can get burnt out watching with so many races, if you know what I mean. But it looks like F1 is hell-bent on keeping them at some races, so what's the solution if we're stuck with them? Changing the sprint qualifying format is, I think, what needs to happen first off, and this is something that came up in conversation with my brother when I was speaking to him on Skype last weekend, and we came to an agreement that they should do a one-shot qualifying for the sprint. Have each driver go out and set one flying lap at a time and do it in championship order. Why championship order? Well, if you do it in championship order, then that means the heavy hitters who are normally at the front of the grid with the best cars, they'll have the worst track conditions, while the smaller fish in the pond, toward it one way, will have the best track conditions and will have a better chance of being able to kind of take the fight to the big guys in terms of lap time. That could shake up the order for the sprint and make it more interesting. Then as for the sprint itself, honestly, I dunna cane. I've gone for a quali format similar to what I just suggested. It could shake up the order, as I said, with some of the smaller teams you don't often see at the top of the grid being higher up, and some of the heavy hitters further down. That could give us an interesting race. Or they could introduce a mandatory pit stop for the sprint. This might make sprint a bit longer, but I don't know, that's just an idea. Or if all else fails, they could just pull out some water sprayers or whatever they're called to wet the track, and the sprints can be a wet to dry race, even if it's not raining. Come on, it's an idea at the end of the day. Would it work? I don't know. I mean, wet to dry races are usually quite interesting most of the time. It's a suggestion. Or we have this idea, which came from a comment on my 2023 Azerbaijan Grand Prix review that I posted the other day. That maybe they should do a standard spec for Saturday sprints. I like that idea. I like having something where the only variable is driver skill. Same cars, same everything, just the only difference, driver skill. I like that idea. They never go for it. Never in a million years would they go for it, I don't think, because it would probably cost quite a bit. Hey, it's an idea nonetheless, and we're brainstorming here. I like the idea. We have, of course, just had one race weekend with this new format, so it's a bit early to make a definite judgment of if this format will be the way to go going forward, but we can make judgments of first impressions, and this is basically where this video stemmed from, because as I said, my first impressions of the new format is that it's not for me, and I wanted to mark this video with a suggestion on how I would maybe fix it. But hey, I'm willing to let F1 try change my mind over this new sprint format over the remaining sprint weekend this year. What do you think of the new sprint format? Do you like it, or is it not for you? And if it's not for you, how would you fix it? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.